The hallway was tense, filled with the quiet hum of fluorescent lights and the shuffle of boots on polished concrete. A confrontation had begun before it even had a name. Lieutenant Mark Dillon's hand slammed against the wall, pinning the newcomer with an intensity fueled by frustration and instinct. He didn't know her, didn't trust her, and most of all, didn't see what she truly represented. Her calm eyes met his, unwavering. And, for the first time, Mark felt the weight of authority that had nothing to do with size or intimidation. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. The new officer, Commander Ava Stanton, was slender, almost unassuming, her uniform crisp and spotless. To the others, she seemed fragile, polite, perhaps even timid. But every seasoned sailor carries an unseen depth, and Ava's ran deep. She had been appointed the base's new admiral just weeks ago, a fact she kept discreet, wanting to understand the crew before asserting her command. Mark had only seen her as another rookie intruding on his routine. His frustration had boiled over in a fraction of a second. "Back off!" he barked, the words sharper than intended. Ava did not flinch. Not a twitch, not a step back. Her hands hovered at her sides, relaxed, ready. She knew the danger of misjudgment. She had spent years in command, balancing aggression and restraint. The silence that followed was suffocating. Dust motes danced in the narrow shafts of sunlight cutting through the hallway. The air smelled faintly of cleaning fluid and metal. Other officers slowed their footsteps, glancing nervously at the tension before them. Mark's chest heaved, adrenaline still sharp, but something about the steady gaze of Ava unsettled him. She wasn't intimidated. She wasn't afraid, and slowly he realized he had misjudged her entirely. Her voice finally broke the quiet. "Lieutenant Dillon," she said softly, "I am your commanding officer. Treat me accordingly." The words landed like steel, precise and deliberate. Mark's knees almost buckled beneath him. Command wasn't just rank. It was presence, authority, and command of the moment. He had underestimated all three. The hallway seemed to contract. Other sailors whispered among themselves, unsure whether to intervene or stay back. Mark's mind raced. Every memory of past leadership tests, his successes, his bravado, all felt fragile in comparison. He had never been confronted like this, and yet it wasn't humiliation that struck him. It was realization. Ava moved past him with quiet grace, every step deliberate, measured. Her shoulders were squared, chin lifted, but there was no arrogance. Just discipline, just command. Mark swallowed hard, straightening his posture. He wanted to apologize, to diffuse, but words felt inadequate. Instead, he watched as she entered the operations room, and a hush followed in her wake. The crew instinctively aligned themselves, murmurs fading into attentive silence. In the following days, Mark found himself observing her closely. How she moved, how she listened, how she enforced rules without raising her voice. The base responded to her presence, the rhythm of the daily routine shifting subtly, a tide that only an experienced admiral could orchestrate. He reflected on that first moment. The push, the wall, the sharp edge of his ego crashing into the reality of true leadership. He had seen command in theory, in drill exercises, in printed orders. But this was different. Command was a living force, and Ava embodied it effortlessly. Then came the simulation, a complex coordination drill with multiple teams, timed maneuvers, and high stakes. Mark's unit struggled initially, disorganized, noisy, uncoordinated. He prepared to step in, to take over, to assert control the way he always had. Ava's voice cut through the chaos. "Hold positions. Delta team, flank left. Echo, cover the rear. Move now." Her instructions were concise, crystal clear, every word executed immediately. Mark watched as the unit transformed from chaotic to synchronized in moments, like watching a tide pull back and sweep forward with relentless precision. The simulation ended flawlessly. Every team member looked toward Ava, awe and respect painted across their faces. Mark's chest swelled, not with pride, but with humility. He had been wrong. She had been right. Later, in the command office, Mark approached her cautiously. "Ma'am, I owe you an apology." Ava turned, her expression softening. "It's understood, Lieutenant. But remember, respect is earned by how you serve, not how you push." He nodded, words failing him. She had shown him, not told him, what it meant to lead. And in that moment, Mark realized he had witnessed more than authority. He had witnessed integrity, patience, and quiet power. The base had shifted that day, and not because of orders or memos. It had shifted because one woman reminded everyone, even the confident, strong-willed officers, that leadership is not about force, it is about presence, knowledge, and the courage to stand firm when others falter. And as Mark watched her walk down the hallway, the early tension and ego-driven confrontation felt like a distant memory. What remained was clarity. Some lessons could not be taught in manuals or drills. Some lessons were experienced, felt in the chest, etched into memory by a simple act of command. Because authority isn't demanded, it is recognized. Because courage doesn't shout, it stands firm. And because the strongest leaders are often those we least expect. If this story inspired you, leave a comment sharing where you're watching from. And subscribe to Whispered Words for more cinematic, emotionally charged stories of courage, justice, and the quiet strength behind true leadership. Because real power doesn't rely on intimidation. It earns respect silently, and it changes everything.